You know the story. We all do. For nearly a century, it's been the foundation of modern myth. A dying planet. A brilliant scientist. A final, desperate act of love that sends a single child to the stars. The story of Superman has always been the ultimate immigrant tale. A lesson about absolute power guided by absolute goodness. It's the story of Kal-El, the last son of Krypton, raised as Clark Kent, the kind-hearted kid from Kansas. It's a story about hope. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the message of hope tucked into that tiny rocket was a lie? A corrupted signal, hiding a terrifying, world-shattering truth. The hero you thought you knew, the symbol of truth and justice, was sent to Earth on a secret mission. And that mission wasn't salvation. It was conquest. This is the dark truth behind Superman's origin, as revealed in James Gunn's 2025 film Superman, and why the choice he's forced to make matters more than you can possibly imagine. Section 1. The lie we all believed. Let's go back to the classic story, the one we've all held dear for generations. On the planet Krypton, a world of incredible scientific achievement, civilization had grown arrogant and blind. Only one scientist, the noble Jor-El, saw the end coming. With his wife Lara, he made an impossible choice. They placed their infant son, Kal-El, into an experimental rocket aimed at a distant yellow sun. They sent him away not just to survive, but to be a gift, a protector. The classic narrative, born in 1938 from Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, tells us Jor-El's final message was one of love and guidance. He sent his son to be a beacon for humanity. And for years, that's exactly who Superman was. Found and raised by Jonathan and Martha Kent in Smallville, he absorbed their humility and their unwavering moral compass. His powers were a secret, then a spectacle, and finally, a service. He became the living embodiment of hope. He built his fortress of solitude, a crystal sanctuary where a holographic recording of his parents offered him comfort and advice. This was the foundation of his identity, the power of Krypton, guided by the heart of Kansas. It was a perfect, inspiring myth, and it was only half the story. The point where the beautiful lie begins to fall apart doesn't come from space, but from the shadows of Metropolis. It comes from his greatest nemesis, Lex Luthor. As the film reveals, Luthor, obsessed with exposing Superman as a threat, manages to get inside the Fortress of Solitude. There, aided by the tech-savvy mercenary known as the Engineer, he doesn't find a weapon. He finds something far more dangerous, the rest of the message. The data crystal that brought Kal-El to Earth held a second half, a part that was scrambled during the journey. For years, Superman had only listened to the first part, the comforting lie. But now, with Luthor's genius, the corrupted data is pieced back together, and the full, horrifying will of Jor-El is broadcast for the entire world to hear. Section 2. The Conqueror's Mandate. Just imagine being Superman in that moment. You're a global symbol of hope, and suddenly, your own father's voice is on every screen on the planet, twisting your life's purpose into a complete nightmare. The message is no longer peaceful. It's essentially a crypto-supremacist manifesto. Jor-El's tone flips from a loving father to a cold, calculating strategist. He speaks of Earthlings as a primitive species, weak in mind, spirit, and body. The mission was never to inspire them. It was to rule them. Kal-El wasn't sent to be a savior. He was sent to be a vanguard, an alpha colonist. The message lays out a brutal new mission: to rule the planet as the last son of Krypton, and to deal with anyone who is unable or unwilling to serve. The most shocking part, the detail that sends shockwaves across the globe, is the genetic imperative. Jor-El and Lara commanded their son to repopulate their lost species. He was instructed to take many partners to ensure his genes and Krypton's legacy would dominate this new world. Kal-El was never meant to be a hero. He was a biological weapon sent to terraform a planet's culture and its bloodline. The revelation triggers a catastrophic identity crisis for Superman. He insists it's a hoax, an elaborate trick by Luthor. But that hope is quickly and cruelly crushed. In a quiet, devastating scene, the hero, Mr. Terrific, a man of unimpeachable genius and integrity, runs his own analysis on the Kryptonian data. He confirms it's authentic. No manipulation, no trick. This is the real message from his parents. This is the moment Superman's world breaks. Every heroic act is now cast in a sinister light. Was saving that train an act of compassion? Or was it a display of strength meant to intimidate a lesser species? Was he flying through the sky as a symbol of freedom? Or was he just surveying his future kingdom? The very people he looked up to as paragons of virtue were actually intergalactic colonialists. They weren't so different from General Zod. They just had a better long-term plan. This is where the real battle for Superman's soul begins. He's now haunted by a destiny he never chose, and a legacy he finds disgusting. While this is a huge cinematic retcon, it's not completely without precedent in the comics. Storylines like DC Rebirth's Mr. Oz and plots in Flashpoint Beyond have flirted with the idea of a darker Jor-El or a more imperialistic Kryptonian culture. But Gunn's film makes this conflict the absolute core of the hero's identity. He is forced to ask if his goodness is real, or just a mask hiding the conqueror sleeping in his DNA. We're about to get into how Superman makes his ultimate choice, and what that means for heroism itself. If you're enjoying this look into the hidden lore of our favorite heroes, take a second to subscribe to the channel. It lets us know you want more content that challenges everything we think we know. Section 3. A hero forged, not born. This crisis can't stay personal. The world now sees Superman as a potential tyrant. Social media goes into a meltdown. Humanity's trust, once his greatest asset, is completely shattered. This is the world Luthor always wanted, a world that's afraid of the alien. And in this hostile new reality, Superman has to make a choice. Does he give in to the nature his parents planned for him, or does he embrace the nurture he got on that Kansas farm? The climax of this struggle isn't a fistfight in the sky over Metropolis. It's a quiet, profound moment of self-realization. We see a battered, soul-weary Superman return to the Kent farm, looking for clarity from the only parents who ever truly mattered. Even though they're long gone, their influence is his real fortress. He realizes that his impulse to save people, his compassion, his belief in justice, none of it came from Krypton. It came from Jonathan Kent teaching him restraint. It came from Martha Kent tending to his wounds and reminding him that his strength didn't make him better than anyone. It just gave him a bigger responsibility to be good. His heroism was never his birthright. It was his choice. Day after day, decision after decision. The film shows this beautifully. At the end, after he saved the world yet again and started to earn back its trust, Superman returns to the Fortress of Solitude. The computer asks if he wants to play the message from his parents. He says yes. But it's not the cold hologram of Jor-El and Lara that appears. Instead, the crystal projects home videos of a young Clark Kent growing up in Smallville with Jonathan and Martha. He has actively replaced his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. He has chosen his family. He has chosen his identity. He isn't the last son of Krypton. He's the first son of Earth. Section 4. Why this dark truth matters. So, why make such a drastic change to the most iconic origin story ever told? Why risk turning the noble Jor-El and Lara into would-be conquerors? The answer is what makes this new story so powerful. It doesn't weaken Superman. It makes him infinitely stronger. For decades, some critics have called Superman too perfect, too powerful, too hard to relate to. He was a god who was always going to be good. But this retcon completely changes that. His goodness isn't an inheritance anymore. It's a victory. It's an act of defiance against his own biology, his history, and the explicit will of his creators. He was designed to be a weapon, but he chose to be a shield. It's the ultimate answer to the nature versus nurture debate. Superman proves that who we are isn't defined by where we come from. It's defined by the choices we make. James Gunn defended this change by arguing that Superman, as true power, is his unwavering choice to be good in a world that doesn't always value kindness. It reframes him not as a god pretending to be human, but as a human, first and foremost, who just happens to have powers. His morality isn't alien. It's profoundly human, given to him by the Kents. This change also shakes up the future of the DC universe. It tarnishes Krypton's reputation, turning it from a lost paradise into a fallen empire of conquerors. This creates immediate tension for any other Kryptonians who might show up, like Supergirl. In the film, we see a brief appearance from a disillusioned Kara Zor-El, and you have to wonder, does she share her uncle's imperialist views, or is she also running from that legacy? It gives villains like Lex Luthor a legitimate, terrifying argument against him. He's not just being paranoid. He's reacting to a confirmed threat. Ultimately, this dark origin transforms Superman from a static symbol into a dynamic, ongoing struggle. He is no longer just a protector. He's a redeemer. He is actively redeeming the name of El, proving that it can stand for hope, even if it was meant for dominion. The story is no longer about an alien trying to fit in. It's about a man who refuses to let his monstrous legacy define him. He's not a god sent to guide us. He's a man who chooses to be a hero, and that's a far more inspiring story for our time. The revelation that Superman was sent to Earth as a conqueror doesn't to tarnish the shield on his chest. It polishes it. It proves that destiny isn't a path we're given, but a road we build ourselves, one good deed at a time. His greatest superpower isn't flight or heat vision. It's his endless capacity to choose kindness over a dark inheritance. He is not the hero we were given. He is the hero he chose to become, and that makes all the difference. But what do you think? Does this dark twist on the origin make Superman a more compelling character, or does it betray the hopeful core of the myth? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next look into the stories behind the superheroes you only think you know. Thanks for watching.